What's up, guys? Welcome, Lauren Pritchard. Monday, 22nd. I'm wearing one of my favorite t-shirts. The mountains don't care. I don't know if you can see with the video quality. I don't know if it's good enough to see the print, but it says the mountains don't care. Because the mountains don't care. They're just there, chilling. I would love to be on a mountain or in a mountain right now. In a fucking cave. I don't like the sun. I want to go into a cave. So it can't be Kamala Harris for many reasons, but I got one juicy one for you. I have somewhere saved, probably on my Apple photos. Like I'm not an Apple customer anymore, but you know how they save all your photos, like when your phone breaks. But I know what I saw. I have screenshots of Kamala Harris's stepdaughter, her Instagram. She had pictures of her own artwork, and it was like Clinton Podesta evil. It was like bites taken out of babies' heads, and then there were Barbie dolls lined up, like pregnant Barbie dolls lined up and chained together like cows, depicting human farming, human breeding and farming. So these are very, that dark, that black Satanism kind of evil. That's that shit we don't like, Also, Kamala Harris has a fang. One of her, like I have little fangs. We all have little fangs. She's got like a long, skinny fang. If you zoom in, these are monsters. And that's a big whore of Babylon. And what does it say in Revelation? We did a little recap. I went through, I think, part A of Revelation in my last video. That's why it was so long, if you're wondering. I did a breakdown of Revelations and where we're at right now, right before the 144K, which the rapture is only 144,000 people. That's not going to be a noticeable amount of people. So where I used to believe in the rapture, of course, for myself, I don't believe that all the people that believe in the rapture are no way. And I hope that whole cult corner of the internet starts to break down, or it'll break down naturally. Because if people don't get raptured and they curse God, then God doesn't want them anyway. So that's how it goes. Also, one of my clients told me Kamala Harris was like the mistress to the mayor in San Francisco. Like that's how she got her start. Does anyone know details about that? I guess she was like having an adulterous affair with the mayor of San Francisco, and that's kind of how she got her start. So, big whore of Babylon. Also, put a fucking dress on. Like, enough with the suits, but she won't, right? It's a very masculine charged females. Very evil women. Tommy Lee put on Instagram, Tommy Lee, like Tommy and Pamela Anderson. He was like, oh, maybe, I've been saying this country needs some female energy, and yay, I don't know about Kamala, but we'll see. It's like, dude, she's like not even a woman. She's a monster. And I'm not that fired up about it. I actually think she's like the perfect little cheap harvest tool. Like, if people fall for Kamala Harris, that's a cheap harvest. We're watching like a very cheap harvest kind of get herded together and rounded up right now. And it's grim, but at least things are moving. At least things are moving along. So I also want to suggest pay attention to the magnetic pole shift on suspicious observers. I'll type it in here. Suspicious observers with a 0. Pay attention to the magnetic pole shift, the sun, all that stuff. We definitely had some solar storm activity yesterday and today because it it makes you like want to take a nap. But then when you go to lay down and take a nap, you just like lay there with like vivid, like conscious, like you're only half asleep, but you'll be having kind of like conscious dreams. That is very characteristic. First of all, being really tired is characteristic of when the solar storms hit us. But also, it's like you'll be laying there half asleep and dreaming. It's like very interesting. So lots of like, so it's not like, it's really hard to predict like where it's going to hit, because like the sun burps out the gas and then it comes into the atmosphere, and we don't know exactly where it's going to land, where it's going to settle. But this is all breaking down the magnetic pole. And June 28th, which actually is funny enough, that was Elon Musk's birthday. The pole, so it was predicted that eventually the pole is going to start to like jiggle on its own, and it did on June 28th. There was no solar storm activity planned, but the radar went off the charts because the pole itself started to jiggle, if I understand that correctly. So keep an eye on that stuff, because that's a natural disaster, catastrophe. So yeah, I did like a long explanation of Revelations, but I wanted to do a little recap about what I discovered in Revelations last night reading it. We're waiting upon the deliverance from Mystery Babylon, which is interesting that like, because the next event on the horizon is the seeing the reward of the ungodly, right? This is judgment to Mystery Babylon. So it's like all the people that have that kind of like zombie look at, like that, like lustful spirit. It's like a gross, perverted spirit. These would be like your pedophiles, your like women who try to be sexy to get and they manipulate by being sexy. Like this is all a spirit, right? It was the Jezebel spirit, really. But eventually, the people that have her spirit, they like turn into zombies, and like kind of go crazy. Like they act out like rabid dogs. They go crazy, and then eventually like turn it. This is the reward of the ungodly. That is Mystery Babylon. Their whole culture is like destroyed because the people are destroyed. I don't know. Maybe we'll see Kamala Harris just lose it on live TV, just go crazy. So it's deliverance from Mystery Babylon, and then the rapture of only 144,000 people. It's not going to be a noticeable amount, but there will be all kinds of other things going on at the same time that people will probably have other problems anyway. That definitely, I mean, you're not going to not have problems from here on out. Okay? You're not going to not have problems from here on out. You just need to prepare accordingly and really stay close to God and place no idol above God right now. Awaiting the Antichrist. It was depicting there's like a first beast and a second beast, and Donald Trump is the second beast. There's a head wound. He gives power to the statue, called a statue, which I think is an analogy for a clone. James Casbolt. And it gathers up the harvest. Like Trump is gathering up a harvest to turn into America's communist takeover. And war is made upon America, of course, at the same time, right? That's the whole thing. It's a giant power vacuum that opens. So that can happen at any moment, I think, because I think the pole shift has to trigger it. You know, kind of, I don't know. Nature, is the harvest ripe for the picking? So we could have that moment happen at any time, or we could see Donald Trump become president and get more communists, like get more people like sucked into the communism, and or just like averted from it. And then the Antichrist obviously makes war on the saints. Part of the communist revolution is you'll have to take the mark of the beast or die for your faith. And it says, if you live by the sword, then you're going to die by the sword happily, right? It doesn't say happily, but I will say someone who lives by the sword, militant for Christ, you will gladly die by the sword. Go straight to heaven, be with the Lord. Because the other option is captivity. It says that in Revelations. If you live by the sword, you'll die by the sword. And gladly you should. This is my words. Gladly you should. Because it says the other option is captivity. Everyone's going to be in captivity. So, there's no doubt in my mind that the Antichrist is James Casbolt, and then Trump is just like kind of getting the harvest ready, getting all this energy that's like handed to the Antichrist when he comes on the scene, James Casbolt. And it's so funny because he made some music, and this like little notification popped up because he does have a YouTube channel for his music. It's Commander with a K. Sorry, I just had like a little hit about the letter K. I think it's like a Nazi thing. It's like a number 11. Elon Musk had it in his Twitter profile for the longest time. He said it was Meta 4K. And I only remember it because the spirit of Elon Musk, he was really connecting with me a lot. And so I was paying close attention to his Twitter. And while we were in communication at the time, I was still in New York. He was here, I think. I was in New York. But his profile at that time was Meta 4 in the letter K. Like META space 4K. Anyways, and then I was just thinking, what's the significance of the K in Commander? I think it might be a Nazi thing. Anyways, it came up as a notification. So I thought, well, maybe this is like, because, AI is kind of helping us out. I was like, well, maybe this is an indication that I should listen to this. So I'm listening. It's very repetitive. But at the end of the song, I can't believe he said this. My ears went, what? He alludes to nuking the U.S. Like Fidel Castro, who was a communist. I've always associated James Casbolt with the Antichrist, but never directly associated him with communism itself until yesterday. And then I get this notification to listen to this song, and he compares himself like I'm gonna do it like Fidel Castro. And I can't believe he said that. He's so above the law, but if you or I were to say that, you could get arrested for that. K is 11, M is 13. Yeah, M for the Mother Mary. So it's no wonder, where does that kind of confidence come from? It's no wonder. So I think that's just it I had for today for you. Keep in touch. The harvest, don't get mad at what's happening in the world. Just know the harvest is ripening for the sickle. And it's so funny because the communist symbol is the sickle and hammer. There's this huge narrative that the mark of the beast is so evil, but I don't. In Revelation, when I was reading it last night, I didn't. Was anything alluding to the mark of the beast being evil? Not saying you should take it. I mean, if you live by the sword, die by the sword, go to heaven. But what I was finding in Revelation last night was there's going to be a first mark, which I think people already took. So when I was alluding to, I'm like, did America already have like a sneaky communist revolution? Because it really feels like people are already like really, really primed, really ripe for taking the mark of the beast. And I think, yeah, there's one, like there was, and then there's another one that comes later. 3.5 years later, there's another disaster cycle. And so all that will be left are the people who took the mark. They're going to think that they're living in some kind of like utopia, but it's not over yet because Christ still has to come back. And he can't come back to people who don't respect him. So then there's another disaster cycle, like another layer to it where people start to get struck down by God and they curse him and then they die. So it's a lot of death. And then Christ comes back, I believe, with all the people who went to heaven, like nice, normal ass people. And then it's like going to be a really a period of peace. So you have all these like robotic people and then all these like human people. Normal people. Normal robotic people, normal human people. I feel like the spirit of Lucifer is very robotic. All these dudes act the same. Even if they refuse the mark of, even if it was like some kind of like, get in line, take the mark. I think there's like a thing where you can't kill Cain. Right? The dudes who have like the mark of Cain on their forehead, it's invisible to us. The mark of Cain. It's like a backwards 7 with a line through it. I don't think they can't be killed. So, because no, they're not going to die for Christ. They're the little beasts of Cain. But if they don't want to fall in line with the communism, like I don't think they have to do that either. So I'm just laughing because I'm like, it's just going to be so interesting to see what happens. Also, with the deliverance from Mystery Babylon, all these like terrible, evil mermaid bitches, how many women are going to be left? Because women are so mean to other women. Like it's inappropriate nowadays to like show it because everyone's trying to appear as if they're on their best behavior. But dude, I haven't forgotten all the, nasty witches and flying monkeys that ganged up on me like several times over, in different scenarios, different groups. When push comes to shove, we're so far outnumbered by evil bitches who will just gather together like cackling hens if they can find, if they get excited about that girl they're jealous of, a reason to hate her. They so quickly, and like a lot of them, and it's weird because you're like, wow, I wouldn't have thought, but and I don't forget who I'm like, it's usually a large amount of girls against one girl. And the next day, like the squid mutate, so the next day they're like back to oh no, we're just like nice normal girls. Marry us, put a ring on it. But I never forgot that one time, bunch of cackling hens gathered together to be mean to me. We're really outnumbered, and they're really quick to flock together. So I'm so curious to see how many women are going to be left after the fall of Mystery Babylon. They're very few and far between. And and the thing is, they don't have dualism. Men have dualism, women do not. So like men can act evil because they're got the little curse of Cain, but they just do evil things because they don't have the eyes to see and the ears to hear from God. So they're arrogant and egomania takes over. But women do not have dualism. It's not our story. Lilith was just an evil bitch, and Eve was just good. And, people have been, the evil took over the planet. We've had none of the divine kings in power since World War One. Two of the seven heads of the beast were Vladimir Lenin and Tsar Nicholas. And that's the last time you saw, oh, wait, no, Kaiser Wilhelm was still in power until, I think, the 40s, 50s. He would have been the last one still in power. But he was the last one. We haven't seen any of the divine kings of the world. They're still, part of the beast, but they're divine kings of God, of the world. We hadn't seen one since 70 years ago. So all the people that are in power right now, they're just like counterfeits. We're like living in a movie, like some kind of like weird robotic, like Jezebel movie. And these people have been breeding like crazy. And so, they have a girl and that girl's evil like the mom. That's a lot of women down. It's a blessing to have a boy, like in many cultures, for good reason. And at least, in this disaster cycle, this has been a disaster cycle. So I'm so curious to see what will happen. Alrighty. Well, that's that. You're the right kind of people. Love y'all so much. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for keeping up. This is a strong harvest. Yeah, I'm still curious because there's a big narrative that the mark of the beast is so evil. But I didn't really get that vibe from Revelation. It just sounds evil because it's done by the Antichrist. But I'm like, these dudes are already super robotic. And like they channel Lucifer to be like that I don't know, they're like the tricksters, right? Because you're not supposed to place men above God. So what is it? Virtuous trolling. Yeah. There's a virtue to being sort of narcissistic if you're not downright evil. Because people aren't supposed to put man above God. But I'm like, dude, they're already super robotic. And they're really nice guys. So I don't know if the mark of the beast is like all that evil. A lot of people, they don't live by the sword. Like I live by the sword. I would not take the mark because I'm just not biologically a robot. I live by the sword. I die by the sword. I don't think I'm gonna die. I don't think I need to do that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm so excited to see what happens. All right. Well, that's that. All right. Check you later. Have a good night.